Awesome. Sweet. Man, I've never hung out with this powerhouse group of people all at the same time before. I gotta say, little intimidated here
We're a
to have
chatty
this
bunch too. It's a
this
good
brain
conversation. I
trust
like how it's
together.
flowing.
I didn't
Yeah,
want to say anything after I big timed this meeting and came in 6 minutes late and missed the prayer. So I was happy to
yeah,
relax a little,
yeah,
fade into the
exactly.
background.
And we've got two people with new books out, and Matt, his book on prayer. John has got new book, Procrastination Proof. Drew, are you on tour right now? Or are you in town?
Yeah, I'm in a hotel in Seattle. Um,
Nice,
yeah, we're been out for about 12 days. We go home on Monday.
nice. Are
It
you getting
looked
any
like
golfing?
hotel curtains. I saw hotel curtains and I was gonna ask, are you in a hotel too? Because I'm in Indiana. But then I was like, what if his house has hotel curtains? And that's an insult to be like, hey, do you guys have terrible
Do
taste?
you?
Or is that your house?
Yeah, exactly. We had our last show was in kind of Santa Cruz, California, and I let the band and the bus do the two 8-hour drives, and I flew up here
Oh
last
yeah,
night. So
it's good.
Nice. That's the move right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I,
Are
I
you
blamed
are
it
you
on
get
this Zoom call. I was like, guys, I need to be in a hotel for this call.
yeah. Are you getting some golfing in, Drew, along the way?
I did. I played a little golf in California. It's fun. Good weather.
Yeah. There's a rumor about you, Drew, is that you schedule your tours specifically around golf courses that you haven't hit up yet. Is that
This is very
rumor
that
true?
was true. That was probably true 10 years ago. It's now I just want to work and go home.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. That's great. Well,
Don't like
guys, for a little,
missing too much.
yeah, kiddos, man. Yeah, John's on the road a lot as well. Um, John's up in Indiana today, Dallas next week, right, John?
Yeah, this week was Tuesday Nashville, Wednesday Denver, Thursday. No, Wednesday San Antonio, Thursday Denver. Just one of those weeks where it was like
Yep.
doing that but no bus. And I admire musicians that I see traveling because I never have to try to board with a guitar. Like the new Southwest boarding, I'm never trying to get an acoustic guitar. You guys are way cooler. Nobody wants to grow up to be a motivational speaker. Like no 16-year-old gets his first microphone and is like, I'm gonna practice motivating. So musicians way cooler. Speakers, authors, way easier travel. So that
Yeah.
it's a balance.
Yeah.
The bus sleep is my nemesis as I get older. It's not good.
Yeah. No, it's not enough melatonin to make that work too well.
I mean, you can
Uh,
get about 5 hours, maybe.
yeah. Yeah. Well, guys, we've got folks jumping on. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Will Acuff. You're going to hear all about a program called Kingdom Founders today, which is a dynamic way to launch neighbors out of poverty through the power of small business. We're going to get started right at the top of the hour. We've got some special guest speakers, John Acuff, Drew Holcomb, as well as some surprise guests, some pastors, some authors, people leading this in their communities. So thank you for jumping on. We are expecting, this is like a Southwest flight. We've got a full flight today. We're going to have a bunch of folks jumping on who want to bring this to their community. So thank you, y'all, for carving out some time today to hear about this. I'll be curious to see who comes on from the furthest location. We've talked to people all over the nation about this program. We've even been over in the Middle East, Amman, Jordan. We've talked to some folks in South and Central America. So we'll see where people are coming from today. I know we've got Gabe down in Virginia. Drew's out in Seattle today. John's in sunny Indiana. And so hopefully we're going to have people coming in from all over the place. If you're just logging on, guys, again, my name is Will Acuff with Kingdom Founders, and today we're going to talk about this really exciting program, Seeing Neighbors Launch Out of Poverty through the power of small business. And so today will be fun, it will be inspiring, and we will get started at the top of the hour and also close out on time, which is always nice. If you've got questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat. Thank you, Nick, for jumping there, getting the chat started. We appreciate that. This is going to be a fun time today. Y'all, it's hard to fill 5 minutes as you wait for a webinar with Patter. That is a challenging thing. So if anybody has any stories they want to share, John or Drew, anything fun happening on the road? Like what are you doing today? Like Drew, are you playing a concert venue? Is that what's happening tonight? Like what's the story in Seattle?
Yes, I'll come to your rescue, Will.
Thank you, bud.
Yeah, my wife and I are on tour for the first time together. My wife's name is Ellie. We're musicians out of Nashville, and we're on tour together for the first time in a long time. We made a duets record, so we're at the tail end of a tour. We're in the Pacific Northwest this week, Seattle tonight, Boise tomorrow, and Portland Sunday, which means my booking agent doesn't understand maps. Then we'll head home, and then we close out our tour with a couple shows at the Ryman in Nashville in a few weeks. But yeah, we're tired, but we're full hearted. It's been a fun run so far, but nothing super funny to share that I could think of at the current moment. I should have
just doing the work. Yeah. Is the Ryman one of your favorite places to play?
It is hands down my favorite place to play. I get asked that question pretty much every night. We do like a VIP gathering every night, and people always ask that question. And I think besides the fact that it's, my favorite place to be on stage, it's also where I've seen so many of my heroes play. I bet I've been to 100 shows there in the last 20 years.
That's amazing.
My most recent favorite was Paul Simon did a 3-night stand last May, and it was a week after we had played 2 nights, and we were sitting in the 8th row, and I was just like, we were just right there 8 days ago, wild. And now we're watching Paul Simon.
Oh man, that's epic.
It's a special place. I'm sure it's one of your favorites too, right?
Oh yeah, love the Ryman. And John, did you open for Dolly Parton at the Ryman? Was that the story?
Yeah, and I got that gig the way you get gigs in Nashville, via my dentist. Obviously, that's how I booked that. My dentist, I like to say we go to the dentist to the stars and the Acuffs. So he's Dolly Parton's dentist. So I was at the dentist, and he was like, hey, we have this charity event that we do for my son. He had a son pass away when he was a teenager. And he said, would you do it? Do 20 minutes of comedy. It's going to be 2,000 dentists. And I was like, yeah, totally. He's like, it's with Dolly Parton. And I was like, amen. And so it was Dolly Parton, Colin Ray, this country guy, the remaining members of Leonard Skinner. And it was straight comedy, 2 10-minute sets. And in the middle of the first one, I felt the drummer from Leonard Skinner like on my shoulder. Like I'm out there main stage doing it, and he's like, you're doing great, you're doing such a good job. And I was like, I'm kind of doing it right now, dude. This is very distracting. Like this, I don't know how old he was. He seemed 1,000, but it was a wild fun night. And Dolly Parton they always say never meet your heroes, but like she's one that like she's as good as you hope. Dolly Parton, there's a reason. I think there's only a handful of people that no one hates. It's like Dolly Parton. I think Tom Hanks is probably on that list. Denzel feels like he's on that list, but like she was fantastic. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you for joining. We're going to jump into this right at the top of the hour, y'all, to talk about this dynamic program, Kingdom Founders. My name is Will Acuff. I'm going to be your host. We've also got my brother, John Acuff, Drew Holcomb, some special guests who are joining us, pastors, authors, and people who have brought this kind of program to their community. And really, this is all about launching neighbors out of poverty through the power of small business. So it is a faith-based program. We're going to talk about the details of that and how we think about this work, and really how it is a way for us to love neighbors with the love of Christ and also see them thrive in really beautiful and powerful ways. So I am really appreciative that you carved out some time to be here with us. We are just a few seconds away from getting started, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got my buddy Jake in the background making sure that we're monitoring the chat. So if you've got questions along the way, we can speak to that. Great seeing you guys. Michael Dean in the chat. Hey, buddy, thank you for being here. All right, guys, top of the hour. We're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Kingdom Founders launch party, y'all. And what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to have a massive kingdom impact in your community through the power of small business with a turnkey solution. And really, this is about launching neighbors out of poverty, as well as activating business leaders to use their faith and their passion and their skills for good in the community. Stay to the end, y'all. We're going to send out a digital copy of the playbook called Ownership Ends Poverty. Everyone who stays to the end is going to get that. We're also going to do a drawing for a chance to win some AirPods. You can always use a fresh pair of Apple AirPods because they're designed to die in about 12 months. So stay tuned for that, y'all. Little background info, though, to get started. I had a plan, and it was not to be in ministry. The goal was to be a rock star. And I even had that aggressive rock star mustache, which I, in older years, had to apologize for. But y'all, I was in a touring band playing everywhere from the Apollo in Harlem to the Dallas Hard Rock, opening up for people like Wilco and Better Than Everest or Better Than Ezra, having a great time. But over time, it became bad for my soul, but good for my ego. And what I found was that God wanted to move me in a different direction. And he did so by meeting an epidemiologist, someone who's an expert in the AIDS pandemic. We met in 2002. He was a professor at the University of North Carolina, and he led a small group of us to go see what was happening in Nairobi with the AIDS pandemic. And we got to see firsthand what the business leaders and the faith leaders were doing to come together and to love and serve their community well. And y'all, it opened up my eyes to the complexities of poverty around the world and also right here at home in the United States. And when I came back, God got a hold of my heart and just said to me, hey, I want you to set your gaze on the margins of society. And so my wife and I, over 20 years ago, we moved into a historically low-income neighborhood in Nashville, Tennessee, and we started to learn a theology of neighbor by doing life in the community. And my wife, she got a job at the men's prison, and she became a job training specialist, helping folks come back from incarceration to stable employment. And we started doing life with those guys and their families. And what we saw over and over again was that we were surrounded by incredible image bearers with God-given passion, creativity, and drive, but they often lacked a bridge of opportunity to express that into the marketplace in a way that would launch them out of poverty and keep them out of poverty. And so we started to wrestle with this question: how could we get more involved to see neighbors thrive? Because see, y'all, Nashville, we're an interesting place. On one level, we're its city. There's cranes in the sky. 100 new people move here a day. We're the bachelorette tourism capital of the nation. Thank you guys for that one. Not something I think we signed up for. But y'all, we're booming in so many ways economically. And at the same time, we're in the bottom 5% for economic mobility, which means if you're born poor here, you will likely stay poor without significant and sustained intervention. So as my wife and I wrestled with this question and started to ask the experts, how can we change this? What could we do to lead to a different story for these incredible neighbors? What we heard over and over and over again from them was the answer is small business. Help people become their own economic engines, and you will launch them out of poverty. And so we launched a nonprofit to do just that. And we got to walk alongside neighbors like Adrian. And y'all, Adrian had a business idea that was so smart. She realized you can never find a notary when you need one. Apparently, they only work like every third week for 12 minutes. So she said, hey, I'll be the Uber of notary services, and I'll show up for you where you need me. And she did all this without meeting us. She had no business skills, no training. This was just an idea and the grit to put it into action. And she got to 35,000 in revenue. But as a single mom of 2 kids, that was not enough to thrive in a city like Nashville. And a friend said, hey, you've got to check out this program that trains small business owners like you. Well, she went through our 10-week program, and y'all, in the next 12 months, she did over 85,000 in revenue. I caught up with Adrian back in December, and last year, y'all, she closed around $200,000, y'all, 200,000. And when I said, hey, Adrian, what did this mean for you and your family? She said, well, Will, poverty had told me my life had to be small. What this business did told me that my life could be whatever I wanted it to be. She said, I just got my son a passport for a school trip that he's doing to Spain. She said, well, I don't have my passport, but my son is now getting to see the world in this incredible school that my business has offered him and this larger worldview and experience. But y'all, my favorite part about Adrian's story, she's not alone. We've now done this 1,797 times. And last year, we put $46.7 million back into the neighborhood economy just last year. Y'all, and along the way, my brother, author and speaker, John Acuff, who has worked with some of the biggest companies in the United States, he's had a front row to this. And so, John, I just wanted to ask, you know a lot about business, and you've had a front row to this. What have you seen here from this kind of program and this kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to see that photo you just showed because I've been at graduations from the get-go where there were 8 people, there were 10 people, there were 12 people. And so I've seen the grassroots start and then I've seen the impact grow. And so the last graduation I went to was at an arena at Belmont. And I walked in with a husband who had flowers for his wife. And I said, oh, do you have a graduate tonight? And he said, yeah, she's got a small business and it's starting to blow up and she needed this program. So things like this for me are so easy to support because I see them work. As somebody who writes small business books, as somebody who writes self-development books, I obviously believe in the power of kind of teaching somebody personal responsibility, teaching somebody they're capable of more. We did a study, a PhD named Mike Peasley and I did. We asked 3,000 people if they feel like they're living up to their full potential, and 96% of them said no. So I can say pretty confidently, everyone in your church, everyone in your city, everyone in your own family knows they're capable of something more. They just don't know what to do with it. And so the thing I personally like about Corner to Corner is it is a framework. It's not just like a bunch of hype or like we're just going to pray a bunch and just hope. There's a framework. I think we have a God of order, not a God of chaos. And so I love that it combines that huge hope, but also a plan, huge hope, but also step by step by step of this is what works. So for me,
Yeah.
it's the combination of those two things that make it so easy to go again and again and again to the graduations and to lean in with my platform to say, hey, if you teach somebody how to do this, it can change their whole family. It can change their whole community. And I've seen it, firsthand, probably 1,000 times in Nashville.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thank you, John. It has been wonderful to have you a part of this. And I just want to underline, y'all, that John sees that we can have dreams, but then having a framework that helps you turn that business dream into a money-making reality. That's what this is all about, y'all.
Last thing I'd say,
Um,
Will, last thing,
yeah,
everyone has the dream, nobody has the framework. According to the New York Times, 82% of Americans want to write a book. 82%. And every year, less than 1% do. So the gap between
mm,
dreamers and doers is massive. And in my mind, this is the bridge. What you're talking about is this is a real bridge. I'll
yeah,
stop. I'm proud of Will. I'm proud of this program. It's easy to go. Churches, this is so amazing.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, John. So y'all, if you're listening to this, imagine 6 months from now, your church or your community, if you're a business leader, has launched its first group of new entrepreneurs. Business leaders are leading with joy from their areas of expertise, and families who used to need repeat help are now creating income for themselves and others. That's what 6 months from now can look like for you. You can have a huge impact on your community with this turnkey solution. And you'll know it's working, y'all, when you've launched dozens of families out of poverty and business leaders are putting their faith into action in new ways, and new people have come to Jesus through this faith-based program. But y'all, after decades of working in low income communities, I want to address three things I've learned that have held us back from taking these kind of steps. Three things that have held us back. The first, relief alone will never lead to transformation. Relief alone. Because as I look around the cities I visit, including Nashville, most churches and communities, they already care deeply about their neighbor, but they're mostly doing food, clothing, benevolence. And let me be clear, we take Jesus seriously when he says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. James, when he says, hey, you can't just say, I'll pray for you, but good luck, right? It is important that we do relief work. But I would say this, relief is a great place to start, and it's a terrible place to stop. It is the beginning. So, what if meeting needs isn't actually leading to transformation? What if we've gotten good at survival, but not helping people move to thrive? Because at the end of the day, relief addresses symptoms, but if the underlying income access doesn't change, their situation doesn't change. And the reality is, we need to offer opportunities for people to become the economic engines of their families and their neighbors through small business. Y'all, because after all of this experience, all of this work, the number one mechanism that I've seen do this is ownership. Ownership ends poverty. Because a small business doesn't meet a need just once, it creates income over and over again. We've seen that right here in Nashville. 1,797 entrepreneurs launched, 46.7 million flowing back into the neighborhood economy just last year. And if you're looking at those numbers and going, oh my gosh, that's crazy. How did that happen? Y'all, this started on our front porch. My wife and I dreaming and praying and gathering a community who believed in that. So we can start small and get to this. All right, number two barrier, y'all. The people we serve are more ready than we think. If we're honest for a second, sometimes I run into people who just see their neighbors in poverty and they see them at their worst day and think that's their future, right? They see somebody in their hardest situation and they view them almost as objects of pity. But y'all, we as Christians believe that they're image bearers with God-given passion, creativity, and drive. And so this is not a talent gap, it is an opportunity gap. Most people don't lack potential. They lack education, mentorship, community, and a clear path towards actually getting this executed. Because again, as Christians, we believe our neighbors are image bearers of the Most High God. As C.S. Lewis once put it, you've never met a mere mortal, right? You've met a reflection of God Most High. What has he put into them that they have the potential to bring that will be a blessing to both their family and the community at large? People like Amanda, y'all. Amanda, years ago, found herself unhoused. She was living in her car alongside of her 12-year-old son. But Amanda was determined that was not the end of her story. And at that point, y'all, Amanda was not ready to launch a business. I want to be clear. She needed relief. She got support from her local church, and then she got a job working the front desk at a storage unit rental place. This was enough to get her an apartment. But Amanda realized she was stuck when it was her son's report card all A's, and she couldn't take him out to a celebratory dinner. She didn't have the extra $15 because every dollar already had a job in their budget. It was that tight. So Amanda, at this point, alongside of her fiance, they said, "Man, we've got to get out of this cycle." They came and took this program. Her fiance at the time, now husband, he's an amazing muralist. Think big things on the side of buildings. And so he was going to be the talent, and she was going to be the ops and business manager. They took the program. Fast forward, y'all, they now have deals in 7 different states. Their art is everywhere. And Amanda is now closing deals for $50,000 a piece. When I asked Amanda what this meant, she said, "Oh, my son who used to sleep in the car next to me is now got a dorm room that's paid for at his college," right? This is the kind of growth that's possible because our neighbors are capable, y'all. The issue was never her potential. It was the absence of a bridge of opportunity. This is what's possible. Now, y'all, my buddy Drew Holcomb is here with us today, a musician, an entrepreneur, and a pretty solid golf player, depending on who you talk to. And a few years ago, Drew, you got a front row seat to this work when Ellie had her album launch, the Canyon launch party. You guys had a bunch of our graduates come and do the food, do the photo booth, like offer the desserts, whole bunch of stuff. Can you speak to what you saw from that experience, seeing these entrepreneurs in action?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and a little bit of short backstory is that just like Will, Ellie and I moved into the same neighborhood, the same church 20 years ago, a week after we got married, and wanted to sort of, be bridge builders in an underestimated, sort of under-resourced community, and got to see especially Will and his family sort of lean heavy into this work. And so we've had a front row seat. We've had a lot of other friends who are like us, who are entrepreneurs and business owners, who grew up in a world where we had lots of opportunity, lots of access to education, lots of friends and neighbors and family who had, started business. So it was easy to do that. So Ellie, my wife, a couple of years ago, was having a launch party for her new album Canyon. And as longtime supporters of this work, we decided what would be some cool ways, instead of hiring out all of the standard, friends that we knew in the various sort of catering and service businesses, we decided to let's use all corner to corner graduates. So we had multiple caterers who were corner to corner graduates. We had a bakery make a cake, who's a corner to corner, My Sweet Rubies. We had the decor and event planning through a group called Marvelous, another graduate of the program, photo booth. And so we just had like half the people at the thing, everybody working there were corner to corner graduates. And these are folks that are still, this was 5-6 years ago, and they're all still viable operating businesses. And I just think it's to give people a vision for their dreams coming true. Another one of my favorites is a young woman who started a kid's birthday business with reptiles because she loves reptiles. She bought a vintage school bus, outfitted it with an HVAC unit, and has snakes and turtles and frogs. And she pulled up in front of our house, and we had 15 5-year-olds in there with boas or constrictors around, pictures. And it was just incredible to take a dream and make it a viable business. Most people would have told her, A, that's a bad idea, and B, you don't have the resources. And and Kingdom Founders has said, no, that's absolutely a viable business, and she does it every weekend. So we've just been blown away as business owners ourselves. We know how hard it is, and we know how important it is for people to be sort of surrounded by those who say this is a good idea, but let me show you how. And this is an incredible program for people who grew up like us and in the church to put our money where our mouth is.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Yeah. We also have used the reptile bus, which is, it hasn't become a bachelorette party bus yet, but I think it could work. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Drew. So y'all, right now you might be thinking, yeah, there's a bunch of good, fluffy stories, but what about the data? Well, we're committed to good data. 81% of our graduates are still operating their businesses. There's been 46.7 million in revenue generated just in 2025. And the sizes of the business vary, but it's driven by the entrepreneur's definition of success. So about 43% are part-time solopreneur. Think about a neighbor who's bringing an extra 20 to 30K into their family's budget, right? This is down payment on a new apartment. This is reliable transportation, some steadying things in their life. Another 48% go full time. We think about them like Adrian. She gave herself the best job she'll ever have, right? Another 9% became locally scalable. So think 1, 2, 3, 4 brick and mortars, and they start to hire people. That data was put together through our partnership with Belmont University, but we are also partnered with Vanderbilt here in Nashville. University of Notre Dame is doing a multi-year randomized control study with us. And then Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT recently signed up with research with us as well. So we're committed to make this not just great fluffy stories, but really great underlying data. So the number 3 barrier here, y'all, is that sometimes people feel like, man, this is just too complex. How could I get this going, right? And I want to dispel that myth. Your church and your community can do this without adding a ton of complexity. Now, if you said, hey, I'm just going to start this from scratch on my own, yeah, that might be a little challenging. But what you get from us is all the years of development, the millions of dollars we've spent in R&D to fine tune this, and you get to launch off of that platform. So what you get is a proven step-by-step curriculum built from nearly 1,800 launches, training and coaching for your business leaders, so you're never figuring it out alone, and a clear model for how to run this in your church or your community. It is plug in and go. You don't need more volunteers because you've got business leaders sitting in the seats of your churches right now. Right, high capacity, high impact leaders who want to get involved. Because y'all, what we often do is this. We get an incredible entrepreneur passing bulletins out in front of the church. And y'all excuse the creepy AI Steve Jobs there, passing out bulletins, right? But y'all, we've got like big time leaders and we're like, oh, I'm sorry, you manage a team of 1,000 people. Here's a bulletin? I think we can do more to activate these leaders. So I've got another friend here on the Zoom with us, Matt Smallbone. He's a pastor here at Church of the City in Nashville. He's also author of the new book, The Prayer Experience. And Matt, you have seen directly what it looks like for business leaders to step up and plug in. Would you share maybe a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, Will, thanks for having me. Good to be with you, fellas. What you've said it all. This is very plug and play. This works. We, like most pastors out there, we are staffed as heavily as we can afford to be staffed, and everyone on my team is just working lots of hours, and there's always lots of needs. So for any of the pastors listening in, I think sometimes the greatest barrier is when someone has a great idea like this, which is an obvious yes, of course we should do that. It sits alongside 10 other great ideas of yes, of course we should do that. That's an important thing to do. I just want to affirm what Will is saying, that this is very, very plug and play. This works. If you follow the playbook, it doesn't take up a lot of staff time. And the great advantage to Will's well-made Steve Jobs point is that, we have these entrepreneurs and business people in our churches, and they're like, we got these Ferraris and we're using them for the AM radio. And this has been the first meaningful spot I've been able to plug in these CEOs into. And none of them are on this call. I've been checking their names, but they kind of have pivoted from being sort of the worst people in our church because they're so frustrated with how they can really do meaningful work to just kind of floating in on Sundays. So there's lots of advantages in it. I think I do want to let you know it's not going to burn your staff to the ground if you jump in on this one.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciate that. And y'all, we'll send out a link with a link to Matt's book here the prayer experience. But guys, we've taken everything we've learned from launching nearly 1,800 entrepreneurs, and we've built a step-by-step pathway for your church or your community. And I want to say both, because if you're a business leader, right, we want you to also be a vehicle to activate this where you live, as well as the pastors who are on this call. And at the core, this is about two things: walking your community toward economic thriving, grounded in the love of Christ, and activating and discipling business leaders along the way. This does both of those things, and we have made it very simple to do. Proven step-by-step process, training and coaching, and a clear launch pathway for success. Someone who just experienced this is my friend Gabe Turner. Y'all, Gabe is the lead pastor of an amazing church, The Point in Charlottesville, Virginia. And y'all, they just graduated 20 people this past fall, and they got another 19 who are starting class this week. So, Gabe, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of what your experience has been like.
Yeah, first, it's an honor to be part of this today. Thank you, Will. So many amazing things we're seeing in partnership with Will and Kingdom Founders. First, what we're doing, as you've heard it mentioned before, has given our highest capacity leaders, business owners, opportunity to truly utilize their gifts and skill sets and make kingdom impact even beyond their financial investment in our church. And so it just gives them an opportunity to really get their hands on the net in a significant way. An example, the executive director of one of our local chamber of commerce is leading our efforts at one of our campuses, and she's come alive in serving in this way. I mean, she cannot believe that she gets to serve in church in this way. And so that's been an amazing thing to see. In terms of impact, over the past year, we've seen 59 graduates with an additional, Will, you mentioned 19. We actually have 22 in this current cohort, which is awesome. And 69% of this current cohort is totally unchurched. So far, we've seen 42 businesses launched, and graduates are putting an estimated 1.55 million back into the neighborhood economies, which has been amazing. We have so many of our graduates who now call our church home, who would have likely never stepped through our doors had it not been for what we're doing in our partnership with Will and Kingdom Founders. This semester, we're officially rolling out mentors, and we currently have 24 business leaders from our church who've signed up. 14 of these business leaders were not serving in any other capacity before this, and so this is huge. And the one person that just is at the forefront of my mind is Phil. He's one of the most well-known businessmen in our city. 85 years old. He hasn't been in church since he was 10 years old, growing up in Chicago. He started attending our church in November, and he is so close to coming to Christ. He's not a believer, but he is so excited about what we're doing with helping these under-resourced communities launch businesses. And he himself had two very big businesses his lifetime. He has a huge real estate portfolio, but the first business he started was from nothing. And so for him to come alongside of those with nothing except a dream in their hearts, and to invest time and resources in them, it is playing a huge role in his journey coming to Christ. And so excited for what God is doing in and through this partnership.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabe. Love that. Y'all, we've just got a couple minutes left. Every community is different size, different context, different questions. But this is not something you have to figure out how to adapt on your own. We walk alongside of you every step. And just to round us off, last thing here, this is my buddy Carson Smith from Watermark Church down in Dallas. Some of you may be familiar with their work. But back in 2023, Carson led a group up to Nashville to see this work in person. And so, Carson, would you maybe give us like a minute on what you saw here that made you go, man, I've got to bring this back to Dallas?
Absolutely. Thank you, Will. It's an honor to be here and champion the launch of Kingdom Founders. When we saw all that happened in spring of 23 in Nashville, we knew that we had to go back to Dallas and do something. This wasn't a hear it without doing. This was a you must go put it into action. I walked away with a few main takeaways. The community commitment was all in. Enthusiasm, the momentum, you could feel it, see it, celebration, joy. Second, just the genuine agency of neighbors. Like, there was a deep desire for flourishing to happen in their city, like that they could shape their community together. Neighbors had purpose in being a part of that flourishing together. And just seeing the beauty in relationships being developed, how business makes an impact. There was genuine agency of neighbors and wanting to see change happen in their city. And then finally, the amount of empowerment on display. We talked about it. Matt, you described it, but how when each neighbors have gifts, skills, and talents, when business owners have gifts, skills, and talents to use for God's glory and our good, it is a beautiful just picture of what it looks like to be the church. And at the same time, to see economic impact happen through community joy and flourishing was a huge highlight. We are so grateful to be a part of being coached along the way by Kingdom Founders, and can't wait to cheer you on in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Carson. Well, y'all, I want to be sensitive to time, and we're going to wrap up here real quick. But the next step is to schedule a one-on-one call. Let's get to know each other, learn more about your church and your community, answer your questions, and help you see if this is a good fit for you. And the real question is just, are you in, right? At the end of the day, because in 6 months from now, you could have these stories of your own. And that's what we want to see happen. So thank you to all of my guest speakers today. You'll be getting an email from us in just a minute that shows you how to sign up for that one-on-one call. And we will also answer all those questions that you submit along the way there as well. Thank you guys so much, and God bless you.